All right, biology, it is time for us to start on our lab for today. So we are working on, I'm looking at the Gizmo site over here, and then I have your student lab document over here. So I'm going to walk you through just quickly how to start the lab. I'm not going to go over what the answers should be, etc. I just want to make sure everyone is clear on how to get started. So first thing you need to do is on Explore Learning, find the Gizmo. It's in Unit 3. So Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, there it is, the Photosynthesis Lab. Click it, and then make sure you launch that gizmo. Okay, it'll take a second to load, but then you should see the setup here. On your student document, questions 1 and 2, everything highlighted in yellow needs to be answered, you guys. So make sure you have everything in yellow completed. So numbers 1 and 2, that's just your understanding. These are prior knowledge questions. What do you know? So what gases do humans need, and where do you think that's being produced? And then we're going to start with activity A. If you watched the recording for the first day of the lab, we did a warm-up activity together in class. So you might want to play around with that on your own so that you have an understanding of what to do in the gizmo to start. So get the gizmo ready. Be sure the bar chart tab is selected, and then show numerical values. That's your first step. Read the directions. This is very important. So I'm going to go over to my lab. I'm going to put some presentation views so you guys can see a little better. Click on the bar chart, that's what it says, and then show numerical values. First directions right there. Number 1, form a hypothesis. During photosynthesis, light energy is used to synthesize carbon dioxide and water into glucose and oxygen. The complex series of chemical reactions is summarized by this chemical formula. So that is the chemical formula for photosynthesis. So in the gizmo, what light intensity and carbon dioxide level do you think will maximize the rate of photosynthesis? So just by knowing this information, what do you think is going to maximize the rate of photosynthesis? So this is your prediction. I think for light intensity it will be this, and carbon dioxide it will be this. That's all you have to tell me. Okay? And then you're going to start doing some experimenting. So it says, use the gizmo to find the ideal conditions for photosynthesis. You can use whatever method you like. When you think you have the answer, write down your conditions. So for this part, you're going to be using the slider bars. So over on your gizmo, there are 3 slider bars. One's for temperature right here, and one is for light intensity right here, okay? And you can see as we move those, the bar charts are going to be changing. So this is the green one you can see represents our carbon dioxide. Purple is going to be your light intensity. Red is temperature. And then blue is your oxygen flow. Now, oxygen flow is the production. It's being produced. That's an output in our equation. So that's going to be over here in this chart. So what you want to do is just keep going until you get ideal conditions for photosynthesis. Whatever you think ideal conditions would be, once you have that, you're going to write down those numbers. So if I think this is my ideal conditions, I'll write 55% light intensity, 670 parts per million carbon dioxide, and 19 degrees for my temperature. Is that the ideal condition? We're not sure yet, but that's what you think the ideal condition is. Okay? Step 3 says revise and repeat. Now here it tells you how to find the ideal conditions. So this is just you playing around and trying to figure out, what would the ideal conditions be for photosynthesis? What do I think it means if it's ideal? Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, you're going to revise it. So now it says how to find it is to change each variable slightly from the value that you recorded above. So whatever you record here, slightly change that in your gizmo over here on this side. And then if you see your oxygen production, which is the all the way bar over here, this blue bar, okay, if that decreases, likely is that you found the ideal conditions. However, if you change it a small amount and you see your production of oxygen goes up, you have not found the ideal conditions, because ideal conditions would mean you're producing the maximum amount of oxygen. Okay, so that's what you would put for number 3. That's what you do. Continue to revise it and get your answers in there. And then these questions are just what you think right here. So what do you think is going to affect that? I'm not going to go through answers for that. Again, you just have to write those in your own words and own understanding of that. Activity B, okay? We're still using, right here we're looking at limiting factors on photosynthesis. You want to look at the white tab, which is right here. We're on white already. Also the bar chart tab, okay? And then it says turn on, show numerical values. We've already done that. It tells us right here that photosynthesis requires light, water, and carbon dioxide to work. When one of these factors is in short supply, it's called a limiting factor, okay? Temperature can also be a limiting factor because if it's too hot or too cold, photosynthesis does not work well either. Okay, so the first thing we do is we set our gizmo up to these parameters. Okay, once you have it set, you're going to go through and do this steps A, B, and C. Then you'll decide what is the factor that's limiting it. So basically, what is the limiting factor in these conditions right here? Okay, the one that you just talked about right here. How do you know it's the limiting factor? It's the limiting factor, again, if it tells you right there, if your oxygen level is going to change. What's producing changes. So you want to make sure it's not limiting it. It's not making it the lowest, in other words. Okay, so you want to get your maximum amount. That's why it's asking you about oxygen production as part of these questions, because that's what limiting factors are. They limit that. Okay? Once you've completed this, for challenge part and number 3, you test each of these situations and then you tell me what's the limiting factor, what's going to limit the amount of carbon dioxide being produced, I'm sorry, not carbon, oxygen being produced, okay? Is it temperature? So is temperature the one that causes that change? Is light intensity the one that causes the change at 60% or at 20% or at 50%? Is it your CO2 level? So then you're just going to tell me one of these answers should be in this box, okay? And then your CER, we went through this in Class Connect. So if you're confused on the CER, watch the Class Connect recording from Tuesday, November 7th, and you should be able to get some help with that. Good luck!